I've earned 30 plus certifications, and I'm here to guide you to success on your exam. Welcome to the Ultimate PL-400 Exam Masterclass. Are you ready to crack the PL-400 exam in one go? You're in the right place. In this session, we'll arm you with powerful insights and hand-picked questions that can make all the difference in your exam performance. We've scanned the web using intelligent crawlers to gather the most critical and high-impact questions, all compiled into one powerful PDF resource. You can download it from the link in the description. Not only will we explore these must-practice questions, but we'll also share real exam experiences and pro tips to give you that competitive edge. Let's dive into the key questions that could shape your success. Question 1. A company manages capital equipment for an electric utility company. The company has a SQL Server database that contains maintenance records for the equipment. Technicians who service the equipment use the Dynamics 365 Field Service mobile app on tablet devices to view scheduled assignments. Technicians use a Canvas app to display the maintenance history for each piece of equipment and update the history. Managers use a Power BI dashboard that displays Dynamics 365 Field Service and real-time maintenance data. Due to increasing demand, managers must be able to work in the field as technicians. You need to design a solution that allows the managers to work from one single screen. What should you do? A. Add the Maintenance History app to the Field Service mobile app. B. Add the Manager Power BI dashboard to the Field Service mobile app. C. Create a new Maintenance Canvas app from within the Power BI Management dashboard. D. Add the Maintenance History app to the Power BI dashboard. Correct answer D. Add the Maintenance History app to the Power BI dashboard. Explanation. Adding the Maintenance History app to the Power BI dashboard lets managers view analytics and update data in one place, making field work faster and more convenient. Question 2. A company has an application that provides API access. You plan to connect to the API from a Canvas app by using a custom connector. You need to request information from the API developers so that you can create the custom connector. Which two types of files can you use? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. YAML. B. WSDL. C. OpenAPI definition. D. Postman collection. Correct answer, C and D. OpenAPI definition. Postman collection. Explanation. OpenAPI definitions and Postman collections provide the necessary API structure and endpoints. These can be imported directly when building a custom connector in Power Apps. Question 3. You plan to create a Canvas app to manage large sets of records. Users will filter and sort the data. You must implement delegation in the Canvas app to mitigate potential performance issues. You need to recommend data sources for the app. Which two data sources should you recommend? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note, each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. SQL Server. B. Common Data Service. C. Azure Data Factory. D. Azure Table Storage. Correct answer A and B. SQL Server. Common Data Service. Explanation. SQL Server and Common Data Service Dataverse both support delegation in Power Apps. This ensures filtering and sorting happens server-side for large datasets. Question 4. A company plans to create an order processing app. When orders are created, the app will perform complex business logic and integrate with several external systems. Orders that have a large number of line items may take up to 6 minutes to complete. Processing for each order must be completed in one operation to avoid leaving records in an incomplete state. You need to recommend a solution for the company. What should you recommend? A. An asynchronous workflow that uses a custom workflow activity. B. A real-time workflow that uses a custom action. C. A webhook that connects to an Azure function. D. An asynchronous plugin. Correct answer B. A real-time workflow that uses a custom action. Explanation. A real-time workflow with a custom action ensures the process runs in one transaction. This avoids partial updates and maintains data consistency. Question 5. You are implementing custom business logic in a Power Apps portal. You need to use liquid templates to display dynamic content. To which three entities can you include liquid code? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Content snippet. B. Web page. C. Web template. D. Page template. E. Portal settings. Correct answer B, C, and D. Web page. Web template. Page template. Explanation. Liquid code can be embedded in web pages, web templates, and page templates. These locations allow dynamic rendering of content for portal users. Question 6. A company is migrating from an on-premises Dynamics 365 installation to a Power Platform solution. You are creating plugins for the new solution. You need to register the plugins. Which isolation mode should you use? A. None. B. Global Assembly Cache, GAC. C. Sandbox. D. Disk. Correct answer C. Sandbox. Explanation. The Sandbox isolation mode is required for plugins in the cloud. It provides security, isolation, and prevents harmful operations on the server. Question 7. An organization uses a public-facing Power Apps portal. You need to change the layout of a specific web page. What are two possible ways to achieve the goal? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Select the Portal Management app and then select Edit. B. Select the Portal Management app and then select Play. C. Select the Portal app and then select Manage. D. Select the Portal app and then select Edit. Correct answer A and D. Select the Portal Management app and then select Edit. Select the Portal app and then select Edit. Explanation. Editing through the Portal Management app or directly in the Portal app lets you modify layouts. These methods give access to the design and content tools you need. Question 8. You are building a custom application in Azure to process resumes for the HR department. The app will monitor submissions of resumes and parse the resumes. You need to parse the resumes and save contact and skills information into the Common Data Service. Which mechanism should you use? A. Power Automate. B. Common Data Service Plugin. C. Web API. D. Custom Workflow Activity. Correct answer A. Power Automate. Explanation. Power Automate can monitor incoming resumes, parse their content, and push structured data into Dataverse. It's quick to build and easy to maintain. Question 9. A Power Platform solution includes the following web API call. Get http://contoso.crm.dynamics.com/api/data/v9.1/relationship definitions $select =$shemaname. You need to explain what this line of code is doing. What does the code do? A. Retrieve the list of relationships between tables. B. Retrieve a list of tables that are related to each other. C. Retrieve a list of one-to-many relationships with other tables. D. Retrieve a list of tables that have more than one relationship. E. Retrieve a list of many-to-many relationships with other tables. Correct answer A. Retrieve the list of relationships between tables. Explanation. This API call returns the schema names for all defined relationships. It's essentially listing how tables are connected in the Dataverse environment. Question 10. You are creating a Canvas app to retrieve user sign-in information from Microsoft Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, when someone searches for information about an end user. You create an Azure function to retrieve the required information by using JSON. You need to ensure that the application functions correctly. Which two actions should you perform? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Create a Power Automate flow to import data. B. Create a custom connector by using the Azure Function API. C. Use App Designer in the Power Platform Admin Center. D. Use Azure Service Bus. E. Create an API definition for the Azure function. Correct answer: B and E. Create a custom connector by using the Azure Function API. Create an API definition for the Azure function. Explanation: a custom connector with an API definition bridges the Canvas app and Azure function. This makes the Azure AD data accessible in the app. Question 11. You are configuring a custom connector for a web service. The web service is hosted in 2 different regions. The web service URL includes a common domain name and a unique subdomain for each region. The custom connector must allow the region to be entered for additional regions when creating the connection. You need to create a policy template. Which template type should you use? A. Set HTTP header. B. Route request. C. Set host URL. D. Set query string parameter. Correct answer: C. Set host URL. Explanation: the set host URL policy allows dynamic entry of the regional subdomain. This makes the connector adaptable for multiple service regions. Question 12. You are a Power Apps maker creating a chatbot for a website. The chatbot must recognize geographic attributes to enable additional functionality. You need to recommend a feature. What should you recommend? A. Fallback topic. B. Power Automate flow. C. Bot service compliance. D. Slot filling. Correct answer: D. Slot filling. Explanation: slot filling captures specific user-provided details, like geographic data. It ensures the bot gathers all required info before moving forward. Question 13. You develop and deploy a Power Apps solution. The following changes must be made to the solution. Delete a column of data. Modify several views. Add several charts to dashboards. You need to redeploy the app. What should you do? A. Update the solution. B. Upgrade the solution. C. Create a new solution. D. Patch the solution. Correct answer: B. Upgrade the solution. Explanation: an upgrade handles structural changes like column deletion. It also packages updates to views and dashboards for deployment. Question 14. You develop a model-driven app. You add the following users as members to the Sales Microsoft Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, Security Group, User 1, User 2, and User 3. The Sales Azure AD Security Group is linked to a pre-existing Microsoft Dataverse Azure AD Security Group team that is associated with the Sales Security role. You assign each of the appropriate licenses to each user. User 1 is not listed in the team members subgrid for the app. User 2 and User 3 are listed in the subgrid. You need to ensure that User 1 can use the model-driven app. What should you do? A. Change the membership of the Sales Azure AD Security Group to Dynamic User. B. Change the membership type for User 1 to Owner in the Azure AD Security Group. C. Create an owner team for the members of the Sales Azure AD Group. D. Ask User 1 to sign into the model-driven app. Correct answer: D. Ask user 1 to sign into the model-driven app. Explanation. A user appears in the team members list only after first sign-in. Having user 1 log in will sync their membership in the app. Question 15. A company develops a new Microsoft Dataverse plugin that manages the update message of an entity. The plugin logic requires access to the record columns before the operation starts and must compare the columns to post-update values. You need to modify the design of the solution to access the information. What should you do? A. Add the code to the plugin to read the record from the input parameters collection. B. Register a preimage by using the plugin registration tool. Add the code to the plugin to read the image from the pre-entity images collection. C. Register a post image by using the plugin registration tool. Add the code to the plugin to read the image from the post-entity images collection. D. Add the code to the plugin to query the data from Dataverse by using the API call based on the record ID. Correct answer B. Register a preimage by using the plugin registration tool. Add the code to the plugin to read the image from the pre-entity images collection. Explanation. A preimage contains the original values before the update. It's exactly what you need to compare with the new values in the transaction. Question 16. Note: this question is part of a series of questions that present the same scenario. Each question in the series contains a unique solution. Determine whether the solution meets the stated goals. Some question sets might have more than one correct solution, while others might not have a correct solution. After you answer a question in this section, you will not be able to return to it. As a result, these questions will not appear in the review screen. A company designs data integration with an external system by using virtual tables. You need to implement the virtual tables. Solution: implement an OData v4 provider as the data source. Does the solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. Correct answer B. No. Explanation. OData v4 is supported, but by itself does not fully configure virtual tables. Additional setup and provider compatibility are required for it to meet the goal. Question 17. Note: this question is part of a series of questions that present the same scenario. Each question in the series contains a unique solution. Determine whether the solution meets the stated goals. Some question sets might have more than one correct solution, while others might not have a correct solution. After you answer a question in this section, you will not be able to return to it. As a result, these questions will not appear in the review screen. A company designs data integration with an external system by using virtual tables. You need to implement the virtual tables. Solution: assign record ownership to individual users. Does the solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. Correct answer B. No. Explanation. Ownership assignment is unrelated to the setup of virtual tables. It doesn't affect their ability to connect and retrieve data from external sources. Question 18. Note: this question is part of a series of questions that present the same scenario. Each question in the series contains a unique solution. Determine whether the solution meets the stated goals. Some question sets might have more than one correct solution, while others might not have a correct solution. After you answer a question in this section, you will not be able to return to it. As a result, these questions will not appear in the review screen. A company designs data integration with an external system by using virtual tables. You need to implement the virtual tables. Solution: use a table that has a GUID as its primary key. Does the solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. Correct answer A. Yes. Explanation. Virtual tables require a GUID as the primary key to link records. This ensures unique identification across integrated systems. Question 19. Note: this question is part of a series of questions that present the same scenario. Each question in the series contains a unique solution. Determine whether the solution meets the stated goals. Some question sets might have more than one correct solution, while others might not have a correct solution. After you answer a question in this section, you will not be able to return to it. As a result, these questions will not appear in the review screen. A company designs data integration with an external system by using virtual tables. You need to implement the virtual tables. Solution: create a calculated column on the virtual table. Does the solution meet the goal? A. Yes. B. No. Correct answer B. No. Explanation: calculated columns are not supported on virtual tables because the data is sourced externally. The logic must reside in the data source instead. Question 20. A company designs a Microsoft Dataverse custom API to encapsulate business logic in it. The custom API business logic must be encapsulated in a way that does not allow the business logic behavior to be modified or cancelled. You need to set the parameter value of the custom API so it cannot be customized. Which parameter value should you set? A. Execute privilege name to PRV_SDK message processing step. B. Enabled for workflow to no. C. Binding type to entity. D. Custom processing step to none. Correct answer D. Custom processing step to none. Explanation: setting custom processing step to none prevents any further modification or override of the API's business logic. This ensures predictable execution. Question 21. A company has a model-driven app form. Many users use the form. Users state that the form takes too long to fully load. You need to evaluate the form design to improve loading performance. Which three control types can you use? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Timeline. B. Quick view form. C. iframe. D. Lookup. Correct answer B, C, and D. Quick view form. Iframe. Lookup. Explanation: quick view forms, iframes, and lookups can be optimized or reconfigured to reduce form load time. This helps speed up the user experience. Question 22. You are creating a fetch_XML query. The query must return data from a table and return filtered data from a related table. You need to configure the fetch_XML query. Which two elements should you use? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Attribute. B. Link entity. C. Alias. D. Condition. Correct answer B and D. Link entity. Condition. Explanation: the link entity element connects to the related table, and the condition element applies filtering. Together, they produce the desired filtered results. Question 23. A financial institution that has a Dynamics 365 sales environment requires that the account balance field from the account entity be visible to specific users only. You need to set up the field security for the account balance field. Which three actions should you perform? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Set the field to read only and then publish the entity. B. Set the field permission allow read to yes and add the users to the members section. C. Create a security role and add the specific users to the role. D. Enable field security and then publish the entity. E. Create a field security profile. Correct answer B, D, and E. Set the field permission allow read to yes and add the users to the members section. Enable field security and then publish the entity. Create a field security profile. Explanation: field security requires enabling the field for security, creating a profile, and assigning users with appropriate read permissions. This controls access precisely. Question 24. You are creating a new page for a Power Apps portal. You need to display data from Microsoft Dataverse on the page. What should you use? A. Liquid. B. CSS. C. iframe. D. Bootstrap. Correct answer A. Liquid. Explanation. Liquid templates can dynamically pull and display data from Dataverse. They are the standard way to bind data in Power Apps portals. Question 25. You are developing a Power Platform app. The app must implement a two-way listener to an on-premises system by using Microsoft Azure Service Bus. You create an Azure Service Bus namespace and messaging entity. You must add the shared access policies. You need to select the permissions for the messaging entity. Which two permissions should you use? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. System Customizer. B. Listen. C. Read. D. Send. E. Manage. Correct answer: B and D. Listen. Send. Explanation. The listen permission lets the app receive messages, and send allows sending messages. Together, they enable two-way communication. Question 26. A company creates a custom connector for its cloud-based ERP system. The company requires an authentication method that can be consumed by the custom connector. You need to configure the authentication method. Which authentication method should you use? A. Basic authentication. B. Windows Active Directory authentication. C. Certificate-based authentication. D. Passwordless authentication. Correct answer A. Basic authentication. Explanation. Basic authentication is simple and supported by custom connectors. It uses a username and password passed securely to the API. Question 27. A company requires a plugin that makes multiple requests to an external web service. The plugin must not time out when the web service has issues or is slow to respond. You need to create the plugin. What should you do? A. Assign the iOrganization service object to a member variable. B. Register the plugin to run synchronously. C. Register the plugin step once for each web service request. D. Set the HTTP connection timeout value explicitly to limit how long each connection can remain open. Correct answer D. Set the HTTP connection timeout value explicitly to limit how long each connection can remain open. Explanation. Setting the HTTP connection timeout ensures the plugin waits long enough for slow responses. It prevents unnecessary failures during long operations. Question 28. You develop code that will perform an update to existing records in a table. The update must occur based on the alternate key configured for the table. You need to perform the update. Which two requests should you use? Each correct answer presents a complete solution. Note: each correct selection is worth 1 point. A. Update request. B. Upsert request. C. Create request. D. Retrieve request. Correct answer A and B. Update request. Upsert request. Explanation. Both update request and upsert request can identify records using alternate keys. They ensure data is modified without needing the record ID. Question 29. You are creating a plugin that connects to a third-party REST API. The API credentials must be secured so they are visible only to system administrators. The API credentials must not interfere with other system functionality. You need to store the credentials. Which method should you use? A. Plugin secure configuration. B. Text environment variable. C. Connection reference. D. Plugin unsecure configuration. Correct answer A. Plugin secure configuration. Explanation. Secure configuration stores sensitive data encrypted and visible only to admins. This keeps API credentials hidden from general users. Question 30. The communication department for a company plans to add a publicly accessible survey page to the company's public website. You must add the new survey page to the company's public website and capture data from the page to a Microsoft Dataverse environment. Explicit user credentials must not be required to write survey data to Dataverse. You need to implement authentication. Which authentication mechanism should you implement? A. Claims-based. B. Microsoft 365. C. Azure Guest Account. D. Client Secret. Correct answer D. Client Secret. Explanation. A client secret allows server-to-server authentication without user sign-in. It's ideal for public-facing forms submitting to Dataverse. Please revise full PDF 2 to 3 times for 100% success. Check the description for the PDF download link and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for upcoming episodes. Thank you.